And we're back here on another episode of Cover 2 with Justin. And my guest, or my permanent co-host here, we've got a great guest with us as well, but the preacher, Chris McCurley. Chris,
well, I might as well be a guest. I've been gone. I've been out of town and will be for the next, in and out for the next little while. But good to be back. We had, some trouble getting guests and things like that over the fall break, and so we just decided to take the week off last week. And
everybody wanted to go out of town. I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, nobody wanted to join us. We're not a top priority yet, but we're getting there. Hopefully we get into syndication or something eventually.
Everybody said I'm going to Gatlinburg, Panama City. I heard all kinds of different places, and so we got a big list of people that want to be on, and we'll get them on soon.
Yeah, that's a new experience for me because moving here, they told me at church, they said, hey, when fall break hits, just be ready. The attendance is going to decline. It's going to wane pretty bad, and sure enough, it did. It wasn't as terrible as I thought it would be, but it definitely, you could tell a dent in the attendance. But back at it now, full swing.
We're here.
Kids are back at school, so it's been good. Lots of football to talk about since we've been away. So let's talk about this weekend, college football. Tennessee beats Texas A&M. I watched that entire game. I typically flip around and don't watch the whole game, but I watched that entire game. I came here from Texas, but I do not like Texas A&M. I'll just say that. I'm not a fan of Texas or Texas A&M. I'm, a Razorback, but so I was glad to see A&M get beat 20-13. Vanderbilt, who I've kind of taken up an affection for, I think because everybody feels sorry for them.
Yeah.
I guess I do too, but they get beat again. Losing to Georgia, that's not a terrible thing, but they lost 37-20. Kind of America's team this year has been Colorado. Dion Prime, they get beat, blow a 29-0 halftime lead, and lose in double overtime to Stanford. And then the game of the week was Washington and Oregon. I don't know if you watched that game. Unreal football game. Washington scores towards the end of the game, about a minute or so left. Oregon takes it all the way down, has a chance to kick a pretty routine field goal, 40 yards maybe, and misses it, lose 36-33. So that was a good game. And then, the Titans. We talked about it earlier in the year. How good are they? I think we know now they're not very good. They kind of gave us a little bit of a, hope in winning a couple of games there. They seemed like, okay, maybe they're all right, but they're not very good. So, high school football, which brings us to our guest. Rodney Parker, the legend, is with us.
Whoa.
Lots to live up to. So I met Rodney when I first moved. Well, actually, before I even moved here. It was last September. I was scoping out the place, about to move, and you and I met, and you said something to the effect of, hey, if you used to coach and stuff and you like baseball, you ought to come out and give us a hand. And I thought, yeah, right. I can't help anything. And then I move here. Mm-hmm. I'm 6 months here without my wife because she's finishing up her teaching contract. And I needed something to fill the void. And you have no idea how much you helped me through that by letting me come out. And I say help very loosely because I didn't help. But I got to be around the kids, be around the program, and learned a lot and enjoyed it immensely. And it got me through those 6 months without my wife. So, thanks for being on. And the reason you're on is not because you represent D.C. as the baseball coach. That's part of it. But you do color commentary for the radio for Dixon County. And we actually asked your partner to be on with us tonight. He couldn't join us. So
he's studying.
Yeah, he's studying. He's a student. But so Rodney Parker's with us tonight. I want you to kind of talk to us a little bit about the season as we go through this. We're looking at Dixon County. They're sitting at 4-4, 3-2 in the region, just coming off a win over Kenwood, 31-12. And if I'm looking at the standings correctly, you got Clarksville in first, 8-0.
Yeah, they're real good, by the way.
Yeah, they are good. Yeah. And Rossview's not bad either.
Yeah.
They're 6-2 at second place. West Creek is 3-2, tied with Dixon County at 3-2, and then you've got Kirkwood at 2-3, Kenwood at 2-3, Northeast and Northwest rounded out at 0-5. So, what do you think we can expect over the next two games for Dixon County? Playoff spot, you think is pretty secure or no?
The 4 spot, I believe, is secured in. Okay, and obviously both teams 3-2, West Creek and Dixon County. The winner of Friday night's contest is everybody but me. I'm not going to be there Friday. I'm going to Gage Walter's wedding.
Yeah, one of our other baseball coaches.
Yeah, one of our friends is filling in there, Mr. Spurlock. Appreciate you. One of the baseball coaches is getting married, so I'm going to go to it. But it turns down to a seeding game, and let me just say this. It sure feels good to talk about a playoff seeding game for Dixon County football.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been a minute. And I've been a fan of this county, of the Cougar Nation and the Red Hawk Nation for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And had my hands on a little bit to do with each spot for a decade or so.
Yeah.
And let me just say, it's awfully encouraging when I see any particular sport, but in particular, my heart has been a Dixon County Cougar football fan for a long time, and had many friends that's coached and played it. I never did play football at Dixon. I was too busy cutting tobacco on a farm down in Sladen at the time, and it just didn't work. Okay, but they'd bring me to the games on Friday night since I was in middle school, and I mean, the thought that transcend in my old mind compared to maybe some people that move into the area and there's Dixon County football is probably two different things.
Yeah.
Because like you would shut it down. In the county, the guys from Sladen down the road that I'm still talk to, they're part of the chain gang.
Right.
That's the best seat in the house. We're going to do the chains. They wasn't looking for anything in return. They just wanted to be a part of the program. It was exciting. It was Friday night.
Well, and they were winning.
Yeah, that helped for
Back
sure.
in the 80s, for sure.
Yes, and that helped for sure. And then pretty good couple of decades there, even in the 90s and in the 2000s, and then a little lean after Coach Williams in the last playoff appearance, I think in 2012. So a little lean the last decade. So it excites my heart and excites my soul, so to speak, to hear us here in week 9.
Yeah.
Talk about Dixon County and playoff seedings.
Yeah, because if you talk to the kids, especially, what you would expect, but also to just the average person in the community that follows the team, they seem to think that they could win out. Yeah. So you win the next 2 games, you definitely are the third place team.
You're the third.
You're the third place team, and that sends you to Memphis, right?
That is correct.
So you won't get to host a game, but you'll go to Memphis. How far can this team go?
Well, the thing is taking step one and taking care of business, and I think go ahead and beating West Creek. West Creek's comparable. They got a senior-laden roster. Going to be a tough contest at their place. Yeah. Could be senior night. I'm not sure if they play week 10 at home or not. I don't know. But it's going to be a tough contest, and you want to be the 3. For a morale standpoint, you don't want to go at the end of the year, well, we're 5-5 and we're the 4 seed. Yeah. When right in front of you is the opportunity to be 6-4 and the 3 seed. And the good thing is you're not going down playing Region 8's number 1. It would be somebody like Houston, and I think Germantown is the top dog down there as we speak. Yeah. Houston, I think, is 2. A tough Collierville team, maybe Whitehaven, and I can't remember the 5th team. There was 5 vying for the 4 spots, about like ours. Yeah. But you would want to avoid Germantown unless Houston beats Germantown and they flip spots. But you're going to face a good football team either way. Yes. But got to take care of business Friday night. We're going to have a few different things to look at as far as I believe. I don't think Wyatt, just my personal opinion, not Coach Tomlinson, not Coach Jones, not Wyatt's, none of the Gramlings. I think he's diagnosed with a high ankle sprain, and those usually take a little bit to recover. I think I know as a competitor, you want to be out there this Friday night. You want to be out there at practice today. You want to be out there at practice tomorrow. But injuries need time sometimes. Yeah. And maybe the most important game of the year is week 11.
Sure.
And how deep they can go, you certainly get your defense playing right. And, boy, there's times of the night where we certainly ran the ball and the offense ran with good rhythm. Yeah. And that's something we've been lacking a little of early, but it had good rhythm the other night. And we just hope that whoever it may be as the replacement at quarterback comes in and continues to have the same rhythm.
Yeah, because they do have some options at quarterback. I know that even in the preseason, it was a bit of a battle. And it seems like there's 3 or 4 guys that they felt like that they could throw out there and be okay. So that's a good problem.
It is.
You hate to lose Wyatt, but at the same time, it sounds like you have some options there.
It is, and of course, Mr. Dotson's come in and Mr. Ray's come in and done a good job, and then we talked about it on the radio actually the night when the third and fourth string quarterbacks actually got into the ball game.
Yeah,
and that was DeMarcus Strickland and Ben Singleton. Yes, there you go, Singleton. So you got four guys, and it's kind of funny how one is stacked in each grade, which is a great sign for the future.
That is a great sign.
And competition is great from within.
No doubt.
And I was all right, I'll sidetrack quickly, but we'll get back to it. I was checking on Colby Lambert.
Just Eastern Kentucky now.
Eastern Kentucky, and they got the returning senior from Coalfield. He's a 6th-year guy. He's playing. I mean, barring injury, he's playing. He's thrown every pass for them but one. So I was like, well, who's his backup? So I look at their roster. He brought in 5 freshman quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And like some of you guys, 1 or 2 of you is going to be next, and 2 of the 5 has got to work your way through it.
Yeah.
And competition, I think, brings the best out of anybody at anything.
And it seems to me that for the first time in a long time, Dickson County has some competition at a lot of different positions. We had Coach T on here and talked to him about the excitement around the program, and he said, people are excited about this year, and rightfully so, but he said, we're a year away. He said, this is not really the year yet. I mean, we're still building something, but he said the freshman bunch is special.
It is, and you look at the success that has occurred at both middle schools, hats off to them. It's like 1 year Burns is the best, next year Dixon's the best, or maybe they hand it back and forth. That's great to see.
Yeah.
It really is. The biggest thing is both your feeders are winning football games.
Exactly. That's always good.
Yeah, puts a little pressure on you. You better win some when you get them, for sure. But, there is quite a bit of difference in 6A football and middle school football. Let me say that. So all you Burns, not Cowboys, Burns Bobcats fans and all you Dragons fans, I know you win a bunch of ball games. But
temper your excitement a little bit.
It's a different beast. A 6A football game is a different beast than a middle school, what would be considered local, to be honest with you. Local, because I coached middle school for a decade, and I've coached high school for 6 years. I'm just calm your water,
Who do you think is the best team you've seen so far this year?
Oh, there's hands down Clarksville High.
Yeah.
And if they're not a Final Four team, then I'm going to go over there and give my friend Isaac Shelby, their head football coach, a quick, swift kick in the tail. No, I say that jokingly. They're the real deal. I mean, they are the real deal. And they are hands down, they are a fine-tuned machine on offense. It's kind of odd. I think their leading passer is their halfback.
Really?
Because they run him in jet so much, and he draws so much attention that he can just flip it over the top, and there goes their guy streaking.
Well, it's interesting because I do Creekwood's radio, and I was at the scrimmage when they faced Clarksville. I mean, it's a scrimmage, so it's hard to tell. But I thought, well, for a Clarksville team, they didn't seem real big. They seemed quick. But, again, there wasn't a whole lot that you could tell. But I wouldn't have walked away feeling like they were that good.
Yeah, they got 3 college signees on the line, offensive line alone. Yeah, and they run Spurlock, you may remember more than me. Your mind's sharper than Coach McCurley's and mine. You're younger than us. Was it Spurrier that would rotate the quarterbacks at some point in time at Florida?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They run 2 quarterbacks.
Clarksville does.
One quarterback standing there with coach, and he gets to play, and he runs it in. The other one's sprinting over there, standing and waiting for the next one.
So they run in their play with the quarterbacks.
Yes, and they run 95% of the time because nobody can stop them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at their overall numbers, they've given up 44 points through 8 games, and they've scored like 350.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
They're top 3 in the state in both categories.
Wow.
And they have, and Coach Shelby knows it. Like Coach Tomlinson said, we may be a year away from being a really good team. Coach Shelby kind of had that indication that this year was going to be a good year. But Gallatin was impressive as well.
Yep.
At Rossview, let me just say they were better than what I thought they were going to be. They lost their first 2 games of the year. And then when Malachi Redmond finally scored on September the 30th, that was the first point they'd given up the whole month of September.
Wow. Okay.
They had 4 straight shutouts going, and we talked about it, Freeman and I, like, here we are, 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, and nobody still scored on them, and we finally scored. But those 2 football games for Dixon County Cougars, and as young as we play and as many kids as we're going to be coming back, probably is going to be more beneficial than any win we have this year.
Yeah, probably so.
Because that's going to show you the level that if you want to be a region champion or you want to host a playoff game, this is the level we're going to have to be at.
It's kind of a measuring stick.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And that kind of goes back to I like our non-conference schedule this year with Columbia, Gallatin, and Creekwood.
Sure.
The Creekwood game is the raw pump circumstance. Everybody's fired up. You're going to get your best effort out of your kids.
Yeah.
But the Gallatin and Columbia game was two really solid playoff football teams that he scheduled as well. So I really like that aspect. Raise your game. And I think that's what we see taking place. Raise your game.
So what does DC have to do to improve in these next two games?
Ooh.
What do they have to fix?
Well, I'm gonna be careful answering this one.
That can be fixed.
Okay, I don't like stepping on my fellow coaches.
No, I understand.
And tones.
Let me rephrase that because
I'll be quite honest with you.
I'm doing Creekwood games, and at this point they're 2-6, and you kind of are what you are, right?
Yeah.
And so we talked about it Friday night. I mean, what can be fixed? Because Travis Kelce isn't showing up, Patrick Mahomes isn't showing up. So what can you do differently? What can you fix?
Yeah.
And they've relied on their defense all year, and I think you still do that. But you are what you are, and so you try to improve in the areas that you can. Cut out penalties, cut out turnovers as much as you can. But you kind of are who you are.
Yeah, that would be the first thing, and I say that jokingly because anybody that's listened to me, I'm going to tell you exactly what I see, whether it's right or wrong. Whether you want to hear it or not, that's part of it.
Yeah.
But I think for sure and I do the stats as I'm doing the color commentating.
Yeah,
I guess is what you call it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Me and Freeman up there having a good
There's
time.
a lot of color.
We're doing
a lot of color on the commentary.
Yeah, but
right?
we're having a good time. Literally, it's a relaxed, and I hope the people enjoy it because it's as if we were sitting at on the love seat here watching the game, just kind of talking about it, and we got to eliminate penalties. I mean, we really do, and that's one thing I've been a stickler on. Jeff don't want me to say this, I'm sure, but we've averaged double digit pretty much every football game we've played. Well, that's too many, and some of them we can control. And whether it's 12 men on the field or jumping off sides in a key spot from a wide out position that had maybe little to do with the particular play. When we clean up a little bit on that, because it hurts Jeff's philosophy to control the ball and keep it out of the other team's hands, and you take a good first down run and all of a sudden you're 2nd and 4 and you're fired up, and then all of a sudden we jump off sides or we do something that we don't need to and it's 2nd and 9 and then we only get 3 and it's 3rd and 6 instead of being 3rd and 1. So little things like that, big difference. I'm gonna say this, and I'm sorry, I ain't throwing arrows at anybody in particular. I talked to some of the coaches today, and we need to find a little bit more remnants of a pass game.
Yeah.
And I brought the stats in with me tonight, and sometimes I like to highlight the positive things because we're 4-4, 3-2. Hadn't been that in a while, so people need to be excited about it.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about it.
Absolutely.
And don't think when I talk negatively that I'm not excited about it. But we're completing 38% of our passes as a group this year for not very many yards, 470 yards with 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Mm-hmm. And I know Coach T is not a running type offense, but when they load that box up and stop you run, we gotta find a little more balance.
Yeah, it can't be one dimensional.
No, and it's tough to win games. It's tough to win playoff games unless you just got somebody that's just really hot cat on running the football.
Yeah.
So turnovers, that's, you can't control them. To a degree.
Yeah.
They happen. The ball goes off a max effort receiver's fingertips, hits somebody in the shoulder pads, and the next guy runs under it and intercepts it. That's football.
Yeah.
But I think more than anything, clean up the penalties for sure and find a little bit of a remnant of a pass game to go with what at times, and like I said, really fluid looking Friday night. You saw the triple option continue to mature with much more motion out of two backs, a little more misdirection.
Yeah.
Seeing the Purple Nation, Clarksville High, run it effectively that way, kind of maybe even open up our players' eyes.
Sure. And having to go against it in practice that week.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just, they put on a skill session. It's like literally a clinic when they're on offense. And I've had a bunch of, quote, unquote, can I use this term, old heads in Montgomery County, because I'm an old head that's watched a lot of football over the last 40 years in Dixon County, Montgomery County, the mid-state area. And, some of them are like, I'm not sure, since maybe Jalen Reeves Maben rolled through at Northeast, has there been a more competitive football team with a chance to make a run. And I think, and that was back in, I don't know, I would venture to say a decade ago. And then they were like, even before that, it could be a long time back before you find this quality of a team in Montgomery County has a chance to make it. So
because the state champion typically is coming from the metro area.
Well, Oakland, Rutherford County, Maryville for a long time. Whoever won that game as the semifinalist was winning over Brentwood or whoever, Houston or whoever it might be from our side that did qualify. It was the winner of the Oakland Maryville game. Probably going to be the same. Just to be honest with you, even though it's not predictable, Coach Mack, it is predictable.
It is kind of predictable,
over there. Now, you look at it, and Maryville's 5-3. Well, it might not be Maryville, huh, folks? Just trust me. Maryville, Oakland, semifinal, Thanksgiving night. It's pretty much a set, done deal. And then our side is wide open. Brentwood's had a really good run at it. And you say, how far could Dixon County go? It's not out of the realm for them to get a quarterfinal appearance if they get hot and find the right matchups. And we go down and play in some clamp down D, and which we're quite capable of. We've had some penalties on the defensive side, whether it be an inadvertent face mask or I lost my cool 15-yard personal foul because the dude just made me mad and I didn't respond well to adversity. Sometimes that happens in life, and it does in football, and they throw that flag and give them 15 yards. And then the coach gets upset and tells everybody don't do it, and then you get, after you watch it on film, you're like, you're right, I got to control it.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, and I think it's helped by the fact because, I'm kind of new to the whole scene, but it seems to me that, to go, west for football is a little bit easier than to go west for basketball. Because Memphis area is basketball.
Very fair.
I mean, Raleigh, Egypt, those schools, I mean, they're just, they're really, really good. But
very fair.
In football, I'm not saying they're not good. It's just that's a little more competitive. And so, like you said, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that you win a game or two, and you don't have to face those metro schools until later. Mm-hmm. That's a possibility. I know you have a lot of familiarity with Creekwood. You're doing the radio for DC, but I know you have a lot of familiarity with Creekwood. You were principal out there for a while, assistant principal. Mm-hmm. You did some baseball there as well, mm-hmm. And I think that it is a foregone conclusion that this season there is not something that's going to consistently happen. Mm-hmm. They've had some really good years. Yeah. Coach Thiel's done a really good job.
He has.
It's not like he didn't, like he forgot how to coach this year. It's just, it's been a struggle in a lot of different ways on the line, a lot of different things that you can point to, but I think it's an anomaly. He's got all those kids just about coming back next year. What do you see for Creekwood in the future?
Well, it's, it's kind of like when you run a young club out there, two things can happen. If you can take your licks and get discouraged, or you can take your licks and kind of get a little tougher and get a little better out of it. And I think knowing Coach Steele and his mentality, they're going to do the latter. Yeah. And sometimes you do. And as a coach of many different sports, it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, let me just tell you, those 2 and 14s that you live through when you got a good group of youngins that you kind of forced into playing a little bit, and then you see it slowly churns a little bit, and then the tides slowly turn. And even Coach Tomlinson is a very good example too of they played a lot of young people last year, and now this year I don't know, 2 and whatever, 3 and whatever last year, and a legit chance to be 6 and 4, 4 and 4, and getting everybody pumped up. And you'll see the same growing pain, so to speak, through a maturing group at the Wood. And you don't want to put a prognostication on how good any team can be, because there's enough pressure on people to perform as it is.
There's so many skilled players on that team, and then you've got the Pinson kid who we faced in baseball, and he made them a lot better when he was on the mound. Didn't play football, came out, I think he played in junior high or something, but middle school, and then he comes out this year, and we felt like against Station Camp the other night, I think it was 41-9, but he played pretty well. I felt like he actually kind of came into his own a little bit, and that sounds crazy in a 41-9 game, but I thought he was one of the bright spots. And you kind of see these kids, even though they're not winning, you see them kind of improving and slowly getting better, because there's a lot of inexperience there. You could say, well, they're all juniors. Shouldn't there be some experience there? Well, a lot of them didn't play a lot last year, but there's a lot of kids that have a real chance to contribute next year. So I think they're going to be okay. But you talk about a tough region. I mean, you got Pearl Cone, who's probably going to win state. You got Marshall County, who's going to get really close. And then Station Camp was 2-5, but they were not 2-5. That was a really good team. And then even Greenbrier, that they faced for homecoming this Friday night, is like 2-6. But they've got an Austin P commit. They got a really good quarterback. So I mean, every week it's a fight. It's a battle.
You got to raise your standards. I mean, and I think if you are fully aware of the fact that we could go out here and play our butts off, and play well, and maybe not win the game, and understand that, and not get like tore plumb up, so to speak, as some people do, whether it's guardians, players, coaches, all of us, community. Don't get tore up, Public schools have ebb and flows, and at the end of the day, we're all here to get our education first and foremost. And if the avenue of sports takes you, or the avenue of singing, or fishing, or bowling, or whatever it is, takes you to another level in school and allows you to continue your education, then we're going to applaud you and say good job.
Absolutely.
Move on. But we do sometimes, and it is, I got to where I like sports talk radio, and like Lucas Panzica's my friend, and he does it on there, and I like listening to the variety of sports talk shows. Okay, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But man, we got to come off like the Titans. If they don't win, it's the end of the world and everything.
I think there needs to be some living going on there. Somebody needs to get a life, because you're right, especially with high school, because it's just kids.
Now, let me say this. This is all again. This isn't about Creekwood, Dixon County. This is just about the state of our expectations. How about that?
Right.
Okay. There's a young fella, and I say young fella because he's younger than me. He's over coaching his butt off at a Williamson County school, and they're on a losing streak. And they ain't won a football game. And there's 3 to go. And you look at their scores, and there's a 1-score loss, and there's a 1-score loss, and there's he lost by 9 that night, and there's lost by 4. Oh, well, didn't have the best night that night, lost by 2 scores.
Yeah.
And they turn him loose.
Yeah.
They just fire him. And okay, I'm fine with that. As a former administrator, you have the right to fire and hire your coaches.
Yeah.
Okay? The reason that the guy was let go was what bothered me.
Yeah.
And the quote, and I have it on a picture that I saved specifically, was, I thought we would have a better chance for our kids to win 1 game before the season was over.
By getting rid of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you look at it realistically and look at the schedule they got coming up, Bill Belichick or Andy Reid or whoever might slide into the place, and they're not going to win football.
That's right.
Okay, but our society emphasizes the dub over the process, the effort, and the did I do my best today to represent Dixon County or Creekwood High School or whatever. Yeah. And if you do your best for me, kid, I'm loving you, and we'll go home and we'll think about it, and it might sting a little bit.
Yeah.
But we'll come back and we'll fight hard the next time.
Well said. I appreciate you saying that, because we said it on the radio or I said it. I won't throw Tony under the bus. So if I'm wrong, it's all on me. But I said it the other night is that, at any level, football is probably more so than any other sport. If you're bigger, faster, stronger, you usually win. Yeah. There's always exceptions, but you usually win. I would say 95% of the time or more. With professional football, the team with the most talent wins.
Yeah.
In professional sports, by and large, the teams that have the most talent, the biggest payroll, not baseball perhaps, but most sports, the most talent wins. And that's why the Titans ain't winning. They don't have the most talent. Yeah. And usually a really good quarterback translates to wins as well. When it comes to high school, there is no draft. There is no recruiting like in college. And so you've got to play the cards that have been dealt.
Yeah.
And I think it's really hard for fans to come around to this idea that, we're not as good.
Yeah.
We're not as good as the other team. So, we're watching Creekwood play Pearl Cone at the first of the year, and they get beat, 55 to 8 or whatever it was. And, there's this big old Division I running back running down the field, and the fans in the stands are yelling, "Get in front of him!" And I'm like, "You get in front of him."
Yeah.
It's like it's easy to sit in the stands and criticize, but they're going to do that to everybody this year.
Yeah.
And we don't match up with them. Creekwood does not match up with them. They're not that team. And I think it's hard for us to come around as players or as fans to come around to this idea that, sometimes you're just not as good.
Yeah,
and you got to get over that.
Yeah, now my boy Bernetti, he's got it going on at Pearl Cone now. Don't get me wrong.
I'll tell you what,
former Gov, Austin P over there when I was around over there, so got to give a shout out. I've known Tony for quite some time. It's just like, and I say this, and just because I know the MLB playoffs are on right now, it's like, they talked about two high-flying offenses with Houston and Texas, and they're playing right now, by the way. And then last night, like Montgomery goes out there, the crafty veteran, and just shuts them down. Yep. Okay, you just never know. But
you never know.
Sometimes you do know. And sometimes you just kind of tip your hat and and that's not to say that I don't try to compete my butt off and win every game that we coach or play in. I'm not pulling for Dixon County and Creekwood to win every game they go out there. Yeah. But sometimes you just know that it's going to be a tough chore. And let me do one more thing, not sidetrack, but a little off tangent. And I meant to bring it in, and I apologize. I thought I had it stuck in here with my stats, but I was brought in Jeff's roster, and for the simple fact, I just wanted to thank his coaches and his staff. A lot of times, there is a sacrifice that goes into it, being a player. There is, and a family, because my son played, and my daughter was a student athlete, and all that good stuff.
Sure.
But just a lot of times we critique them more than we thank them. And
good point.
I really, and that's the staffs of, whether it be Coach Baker and his state-bound volleyball team at Creekwood, or Coach Clements and her staff who just finished their season by losing in the regions. Coach Cardona and the soccer crews. Coach Hickerson and the marvelous job that he does with cross country.
Sure.
The dance and cheer coaches, as much time as they put into it, and I know they work hard. But then these football coaches, whether it's the head coach all the way down, and I'm not going to start naming them because I'm going to embarrassingly leave somebody out.
That's always
okay. Yeah. So I'm not going to. That's why I left the sheet in my truck out there. But I did want to just give them a shout out and a positive. Hey, men, we see you.
Yeah.
Ladies, we see you. Okay, people that know what's going on, we see you, we appreciate you, I thank you, and I thank your dedication and hard work, and that goes all the way to Coach Wells and Coach Profits at the middle schools, and the Coach Kelly, Coach Hamilton, Coach Molnick's. They're doing. I think she's still doing. Is she still doing the Dragons basketball? Yeah, all the way up and down. I mean, it takes a commitment to be a coach as well, and it's not like. We are getting paid to some degree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not why you do it.
No.
And it's that is very well said, and I appreciate you saying that, and appreciate you being on with us.
Yeah.
We're wrapping up another episode, Justin, and appreciate Coach Parker being with us. And
I just want to encourage everybody, stay excited about it. Whether the team comes home with a win or a loss, stay excited. And of course, we got a chance here to go to West Creek and solidify a good playoff position. Yep. Go Cougars, go Red Hawks, and just handle it, people.
Yep. So DC 4-4, 3-2 goes to West Creek, who's 3-5, 2-3. That's really a battle for third place in the region. Creekwood is at home for homecoming against Greenbrier. Creekwood needs to win and also get some help down the stretch. They need to win their last two. It's a tall order with White House being after Greenbrier, but not saying it can't be done. And then Tennessee's got a tall order this weekend. They go to Alabama, take on the Crimson Tide. Vanderbilt is off. Of course, big games in college football this weekend. Penn State is playing Ohio State, number 7 versus number 3 in the nation. Duke and Florida State. That'll be a good game as well. And but we're going to be having our eye on Dickson County and Creekwood this weekend as the season winds down.
Yeah, it's only 2 opportunities left. Go see them.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you, you say Penn State, that makes me think of James Franklin. And let me just tell you, when James Franklin was coaching at Vanderbilt, whether it was right or wrong, Vanderbilt was a factor.
Yeah,
my friend.
they were.
Yeah.
They were.
I mean, they really were. So
Absolutely.
it can be done.
Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin,
Appreciate it.
for having me on another time. And
Well, hey, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have you back. I
Good to be back.
I don't love sitting in that seat as much as I love sitting in this seat. So
well, I'll be in and out a little bit over the next couple of weeks, but hopefully we can end this run pretty well, and I've enjoyed it.
I have too. We've had some great guests on, and talked to a few other people that want to come on, so I'm pretty excited about that. The only other announcement that I can think of is, you know how the Cougars have been doing this thing where they honor the decades.
Yep.
And we've gone all the way back to the 70s. We did the 80s. We did the 90s. We did the 2000s last week, and I believe they're going to do the most recent decade, 2010 to 2019. I saw something about that earlier, so just wanted to go ahead and put that out there. It won't be until next week. It'll be the last game.
Yeah, against Northwest. Senior night, pink out night, all that good stuff. And one other thing, and I'm glad you said that, Mr. Spurlock, is our Lady Cougar soccer team, runner-up in the district, and against a good West Creek team that they had beaten already. And I mean, it was a great match, both of them. I watched both of them. But anyway, they're going to be in region play tomorrow night at Clarksville High versus Rossview. Yeah. So they will be in the region portion of their season, and they've had a really good year. Hats off to Coach Cardona. It's his birthday today. Shout out, my friend.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday, Coach Cardona. Great season on the girls' side, and we look forward to a great season on the boys' side as well after Christmas. So I guess that's going to do it. We'll see you again next week. Thanks to our guest. Thank you, Preacher, and thanks to everybody for watching.